Ever wonder how some melodies get stuck in your head instantly, whereas others you forget 2 seconds later? In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 elements that hit melodies have and show you how you can start incorporating all of these into your tracks today to make them more memorable. First element is the bass line. This is what carries the emotions of your melody, because you can turn this bass line into chord progressions, counter melodies, arpeggios, whatever you like. And if you get the bass line correct, the emotions of your track flow perfectly. I recommend going into your DAW, using a tool like scale highlighting, so you can pick a scale and then follow the notes in that scale for the bass line. In FL Studio, you click View, Scale Highlighting. I want to go into C minor natural, and I have this very simple bass line here. And in the second 4 bars, it does this. It's important to pay attention to how your bass line finishes. For example, in a darker melody, I'm going to have it end on a bit of a sad and mysterious note there, whereas in a happier bass line, you want a bit of a happier resolution. For example, this happier bass line here. I also changed the scale highlighting to C major. I would not recommend starting on other parts of your melody until you nail the emotion of the bass line. Once you have it, you want to turn that bass line into chord progression, which is going to carry the melody of your track. I want to go back into C minor, and I'm going to turn this dark bass line into a chord progression by placing notes above the bass line. The middle note is the note that determines whether or not a chord is a major or a minor chord. As you can see here, there's 2 gaps between the first and the second chord, and 3 gaps between the second and third, which makes this a minor chord. Whereas if there's 3 gaps and then 2 gaps, it becomes a major chord. The major chord tends to be a happier resolution, whereas the minor chord is a bit darker. So it's important to go through, try out each of them, and see which one fits the melody better and fits the emotion you want in your melody. You don't always have to follow the major and minor chord rule. For example, I'm going to move this 1 note up, which is going to create this really cool kind of dark chord here. And moving away from the piano onto a cooler sound. This last chord perfectly fits that kind of dark vibe. And one thing you'll notice here is for these last notes, I decided to go from it being a chord to just that bass note hitting. So for example, before it was actually chopped up like this and it had its own chord, but I decided to leave it as just a note on its own. If you have an artist that you're making this beat for, or a track that's inspiring this melody, I recommend listening to those songs or those beats and go and compare the melody and make sure it's following the same kind of emotion and the same kind of vibe. So now you have the 2 most important parts of the melody, which is the bass line and the chord progression that follows the bass line. Now you can add a counter melody or supporting melody to take things to the next level. How you add these elements and what elements you add depends on how complex you want the melody to be. I definitely recommend creating a supporting melody and a counter melody, just so you have it there, just so that when you're arranging the track, you can go and bring layers in and out to add evolution and keep things fresh. One awesome way to do it is grab your chord progression, go and open an arpeggiator tool, which on FL Studio is Alt-A. I changed the pattern to alternate and the range to 2, but you can mess with these and also the time multiplicator. To get crazy different effects and to get a completely different vibe, I'm going to stick with the first option I showed, which is much simpler. I'm going to copy that melody onto a different sound. And that melody has an awesome dark mysterious vibe. And just to give you a quick another example, if you wanted to turn that happier bass line into a chord progression, you can go and make some major chords. I'm going to invert this chord by lowering this B down an octave. If you get stuck on making a bass line, you can go and have a look at some really popular chord progressions, and all you have to do is make sure that you have scale highlighting turned on, or you know the scale off by heart, and then go and follow the notes of that scale based on the Roman numerals. Whether or not it's capital or lowercase Roman numerals determines whether it's a major chord or a minor chord. I added an arpeggiator, a much slower one because this is more of a happy chill vibe, and when I added that on top of that happy chord progression, Going back to the darker melody, I'm going to add this kick and bass line, which is following the root notes of the chord progression. I'm also going to add a fairly simple hi-hat. I added a clap, snare, and a crash. And altogether, this is what the dark, mysterious track sounds like, with some drums I quickly added on top. Make sure to save this video so you have it ready when you're making a melody if you get stuck, and also so you can go back to the chord progression chart, which you may need when making a melody. The next steps can be trying different scales, trying different chord progressions, trying different timing with the chords, and following all of this, you should be a melody professional in no time. If you want some MIDI packs, some chord packs, some melody packs, a live vocal pack with chord progressions following the live vocals, click the links in the description to get access. Side note, we created one of the coolest free packs we've ever seen, which has live exclusive vocals with chord progressions, meaning you can drag live vocals into your track, have a perfect chord progression following those vocals, and go and build an awesome track around it. It's free and royalty free. Click the link in the description to get the live vocal pack. Thanks for watching. I really look forward to hearing the melodies you make with these tools and these strategies. If you want to learn how top producers make their melodies, make their beats, and mix their tracks, click on one of the recommended videos or go to my channel, and I hope to see you there.